The new ASUS ROG Strix XG27ACS gaming monitor sits in a weird position in the industry. The display is a 1440p model that can hit 180Hz. It packs an IPS panel and some noteworthy features, but on paper this is your standard 1440p monitor. In certain markets this monitor is a tough sell just because of how competitive the display market is. However, here in SA, the monitor actually wants to slide in under the more affordable banner. We also don't have a hugely competitive monitor market here, so I think ASUS might be onto something. The monitor is your standard run-of-the-mill 1440p display you can pick up in 2024. It is 27 inches wide and features a flat screen display. It also comes with the standard most updated DisplayPort 1.4 and an HDMI 2.0 port. It also packs HDR. I won't say this ASUS ROG Strix monitor does anything exceptional on paper, to be honest, but that's okay. You're paying for a decent 1440p display here, and at least it delivers with that. Starting off with the design, the ASUS ROG Strix XG27ACS is quite a chunky piece of tech. The monitor is easy to assemble with the display easily attaching to the stand arm and then onto the stand foot itself. The foot is a large square-shaped stand that can swivel the arm left and right by 45 degrees. The arm itself can then move the display up and down by 12 centimeters. It can also tilt the display by 20 degrees in both directions. Lastly, the arm can also pivot the display into portrait mode by 90 degrees on both axes. Every movement on the stand and arm felt easy to execute, and the display moved around without much force. The display also packs some impressive wobble resistance, so if you're typing and gaming on the keyboard presses won't cause too much wobble on the panel. There's no RGB on this monitor at all. It is an ROG product, so you can expect all the fancy schmancy decals across the unit, but there's no way to make this light up. To be honest, the only real standout design feature on the monitor is the smartphone cradle on the stand. You can use this to prop your phone up while gaming. The monitor also includes a USB-C port, which can then be used to charge that said phone at the same time. Speaking of that port, the USB-C port and the other included ports can all be found under the back side of the monitor. There are also a few buttons and an analog nub which you can use to navigate through the menu. These are also found on the right hand side. I do enjoy the design of this ASUS monitor. It isn't the flashiest display I've ever used, but it does work. The bezels around the display are thin, the stand didn't take up too much space on the desk, and the simplified port selection means you're cost saving to make this more affordable. But keep in mind that this display is limited to one HDMI port and one display port, just in case you're looking for more. This is a 1440p monitor, and right out of the box the display is well calibrated and ready for use. The SDR experience is especially impressive, for SDR of course. ASUS has included DCI-P3 of 97% on this monitor and an sRGB rating of 133%. It isn't the most award-winning color range around, but this is a gaming monitor, so it makes sense. ASUS has also included 20 levels of pixel overdrive on this monitor. 20 is quite a lot, maybe a little bit too much, but the option is here for those who want it. I found that maxing this out didn't have a dramatic effect on the overshoot and inverse ghosting, but I tended to leave it in the middle somewhere most of the time. The monitor also includes an ELMB mode, which is extreme low motion blur, but I found enabling this setting would increase the brightness of objects, essentially crushing details. I don't think it is a setting I would use, to be honest. I don't feel as if the advantages on offer here make up for the loss of image quality. However, if you're a highly competitive gamer and rely on the best possible response rate, this setting will provide that, but I would suggest turning it on and off on a case-by-case basis. I also say this because the monitor's HDR feature isn't so great. You'll want to maintain the best possible image quality whenever possible. It only has HDR 400, which means the display doesn't get incredibly bright. Not bright enough to cause specular highlights to pop anyway. It also has no local dimming either. In short, this is as IPS as an IPS panel gets, with no real standout visual features. Most of the advancements here are in the response rate and the 180Hz refresh rate. Of course, there is also that 1 millisecond response time, which is the best you can get. This 1 millisecond response time is also on a gray to gray measurement, which means it's the best around. ASUS has included all the settings you'll need on the display to tweak it to your current gaming agenda. Mostly everything I have mentioned so far is accessible in these settings, and getting around is simple enough. The UI and menu is intuitive and easy to navigate around. I really have no complaints here. Just keep in mind that some settings do disable when you enable other settings. Lastly, I think I need to discuss the USB-C feature because I think many of you will get confused. ASUS has included a 7.5 watt power delivery feature through USB-C, but this isn't for charging anything but your phone. That's why the cradle is there. The port does support DP alt mode for video out, but you'll need to make sure your tech supports this. Given how demanding and quite frankly confusing DP alt modes are across the industry, you'll likely never use this, and if you do, you are quite aware of what tech supports it. Overall, the ASUS ROG Strix XG27ACS is quite a robust gaming monitor and offers some great value for money. It does fall short a bit on its HDR brightness, but only because I hope for a bit more kick here. However, this display packs quite a number of features that you'll often find in much higher priced monitors. If you're looking for a 1440p monitor that does not break the bank, this model should be on your list. So those are my thoughts with this ASUS monitor. Huge thanks to the brand for sending it over for me to test out. Do you have any questions on the display? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, while you're here, please do consider liking and subscribing for future content, and visit glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.